On a crucial morning when I had a major presentation involving a massive deal worth $5 billion, I arrived at the venue just in the nick of time after helping a pregnant woman who had collapsed at the station. At the venue, a coworker who always viewed me as a rival had already finished distributing the materials and was taking credit for it. The next day, I was summoned by the company president and handed a pink slip. I'm not lying. As I tried to defend myself, my coworker chimed in. This time, I happened to cover for him, but it could have caused significant damage to the company, you know. My coworker smirked beside me. Indeed, I was at fault for being late. It was such a cruel decision to get fired without any investigation, but those who had belittled me didn't know. This was the countdown to their downfall. My name is John Smith. I work at a startup company in the city. Although it's a startup, the company already has a reputation, and it's a grateful company that recognizes performance as long as you have the motivation and skills, even for someone like me who only graduated from high school. The workload is heavy, but I lead a reasonably fulfilling life. Today, to celebrate the successful presentation of my team, I came to a familiar Western-style bar with my coworkers, Mike, Sarah, and others. This restaurant, located a little off the main street, is called Four Seasons, and it literally offers delicious meals according to the seasons. The proprietress, Emily, is a young, beautiful woman who looks great in dresses and has a good reputation among customers. Of course, the food here is fantastic, and I absolutely love the chili beans at this bar. It's like the taste of my mother's cooking from the past, and no matter how tired I am from work, just having a drink at this restaurant makes my fatigue disappear. Oh, John, it's rare to see you here. Are you here with your coworkers today? Yes, today our work went well, so I thought I'd like to have some delicious food to celebrate. Well, I'm delighted. Then, I must express my gratitude for your continued patronage. Thank you as always. Emily smiled gently and offered a glass of water. Then, Sarah sighed softly as she looked at the proprietress. Ah, the proprietress here is really beautiful, isn't she? How should I put it? She has that mature charm, right? Men must like the type of woman like the proprietress, right? Oh, thank you so much. If a young girl like you compliments me, I'm happy even if it's just flattery. Would you like something extra as a token of appreciation? Saying that, Emily handed over a small dish. Here you go. It's free. Oh, it looks delicious. Watching the exchange between the two women, I took a sip of my beer with a smile. Suddenly, Sarah asked, John, do you also like women like the proprietress? I cleared my throat slightly and replied, well, I don't think there's a man who dislikes women like the proprietress, right? In response, Sarah, with a displeased look on her face, poured more beer into my glass. Oh, well, I'm just a young un with no special talents, after all. Oh, come on. Aren't you already drunk without even drinking? I'll drink more. I'll drink as much as I want. After that, Sarah continued to interact with me in various ways, but one person who seemed unimpressed with it all was a male colleague named Mike. Mike graduated from a well-known university, and when we first joined the company, we worked well together. However, as soon as he found out I was a high school graduate, his attitude completely changed. He would delegate all the tedious work, like data collection and analysis, to me while taking credit for the easy tasks. Hey, John, I'll need those documents by tomorrow. Huh, by tomorrow? I haven't even finished the ones you asked for yesterday. Oh, come on. If you're a high school graduate who worked your way up, you've got the determination, right? Your only strength must be your physical stamina. He made such sarcastic remarks and pushed more work onto me. Sarah, my coworker, didn't seem to like Mike's approach, and he often complained. Geez, he never does any of the hard work himself and just pushes everything onto John. Even though we're at the same level, he acts like he's superior. I'm sure he's just jealous because everyone at work likes John. Sarah, don't say that. I'll do my best in the areas where I can contribute. Oh, John is just too kind. Anyway, be careful not to overdo it. You might collapse if you push yourself too hard. Oh, thank you. I stayed late that day, too, and finished all the work assigned by Mike. I know Mike looks down on me for being a high school graduate, but I don't feel any shame about my education. That's because I chose to stop pursuing a college degree. My mom used to run a children's cafeteria in a separate building at home, providing free meals to children who couldn't eat properly. She was what you might call an interfering and bit-hearted mother. After work, my dad would rush to the store to buy groceries, and I have been helping out since I was a child. Children with various circumstances would come to the children's cafeteria. Among them, there were siblings named Em and Jen, who often visited. Em's family was a single-parent household, and her mom worked multiple part-time jobs. For dinner, Em and her little brother Jen would split a hot dog in half and share it. Em and Jen always looked so skinny. I remember when my mom, out of concern, brought them to our cafeteria for the first time. Children need to eat a lot, play energetically, and sleep well. That's their job, right? My mom said with a hearty laugh as she served them a mountain of chili beans. It had been a while since they had eaten such warm food, so they kept saying how delicious it was and stuffed their mouths with rice. After that, the two of them started coming to our cafeteria every day, and we became as close as siblings. I wonder what Em and Jen are doing now. Are they doing well? I sometimes think about everyone as if they were real siblings. The children's cafeteria receives some donations as an NPO, but most of the expenses are covered by the management. My grandparents used to have a hobby of farming, so we often directly sourced ingredients from the farm. For me, an only child, it felt like having many little companions. Watching the young siblings enjoy their mother's cooking with smiles on their faces, even though they had been thin, made me happy. Amidst such a life, when I was in high school, my dad passed away due to illness. My mom considered closing the children's cafeteria, but I didn't want her to, so I gave up on going to college and started working. In the end, a few years later, my mother also followed my father, and the cafeteria had to be closed. However, I don't regret my choice. I love the smile on my mother's face when she ran the cafeteria. Even now, I occasionally reminisce about the mother who cooked happily and the children who ate her food with delight. I heard that the siblings were taken in by distant relatives. Lately, I've been wondering how they're doing now, and I find myself immersed in those thoughts more often. Mike emphasizes my lack of formal education, but I believe that having the ability to perform well at work is more important than education. So, I decided to work hard without worrying about how much he mocks me. Since I finished the data analysis assigned by Mike quickly, I started preparing materials for tomorrow's planning meeting. In that meeting, our company will decide where to focus its efforts for a new genre of products, which will involve developing new business partners. In the end, during the meeting, we decided to handle products with a high sales rate, considering cost effectiveness. After that meeting, I was summoned by the manager. John, I'm thinking of interesting you with a presentation for the new product this time. It's about expanding to new business partners, so stay sharp. If it succeeds, it could be a deal worth at least $5 billion. Thank you very much, but $5 billion, it's a huge responsibility. As I pondered the weight of this significant task, Mike, you had attended the meeting with me, spoke up to the manager. Boss, why would you entrust such a big task to someone like John, who lacks a formal education? Isn't this the perfect opportunity for me? Mike made a self-promotion while belittling me a bit, and the department head raised an eyebrow. Well, this project will involve a large number of young people. In cases like this, it's better to have someone like John, who is trusted by those below him, to lead. Mike, I'd like you to cooperate with him. I see. I got it. Clearly dissatisfied, Mile didn't press the issue further, and we began preparing for the new presentation together. John, let's make sure it's a success, okay? Yeah, let's do our best together. As I started working with my coworkers on the preparations, Mike, you had initially been in cooperative, eventually began to assist with tasks like creating documents without me even asking. Hey, John, is it okay to insert this data on page 6? Yeah, sure, please go ahead. At first, both Sarah and I were suspicious of Mike silently assisting us without any complaints or sarcasm. However, due to his uncharacteristic cooperation, we gradually let our guard down, thinking he might have had a change of heart. Little did we know that this was a massive trap. Even though our team worked overtime together, we managed to create a superb presentation material through collaboration. With confidence that this would undoubtedly lead to success, we eagerly awaited the day of the presentation. On the morning of the presentation day, I woke up earlier than usual to ensure I wouldn't be late as I was heading to the other company's office. However, It's precisely at times like these when troubles tend to occur. While heading to the station, I saw a pregnant woman with a large belly crouching down, holding her abdomen. She looked as if she were in pain, with sweat on her forehead. Although passers-by glanced at her, due to it being rush hour, no one said a word. Unable to ignore it, I rushed over and spoke to the woman. "Are you okay?" The woman, upon hearing my voice, slowly raised her head and said with a teary voice, My, my stomach hurts. Could it be contractions? Yes. She nodded, her face contorted in pain. It seemed there was a nearby clinic where she usually received care. Despite still having some time before her due date, contractions had suddenly started. I quickly hailed a taxi and took her to the hospital. Soon after arriving at the hospital, one of her relatives rushed over. I wished her well and hurried to the presentation venue. Upon arriving at the presentation venue just before it started, I apologized to my team members. Looking around the room, I noticed that Mike had already distributed the materials. Sorry, Mike, you saved me. What are you talking about? We're a team. Now, hurry up and prepare for the presentation. Thank you. I rushed to prepare, and we managed to start the presentation right on time. However, as I progressed with the presentation, a murmur of unease began to spread through the room. Soon after, someone from the client's company expressed their displeasure. Hey, the presentation materials and the projector's visuals don't match. What's going on? The data in the materials is completely different from the estimates. Are you even organizing your data properly? Presenting with such sloppy data is an insult to our company as well. What are you thinking? As I questioned the heckling coming one after another, I checked the materials in my hands. To my surprise, the materials prepared by me were completely different from what was there. What does this mean? Beside me, Mike smirked softly. Then he said, Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the earlier mistake in the materials I handed out. He distributed the correct materials that I had prepared in advance. Mike looked at me with a mocking smile and took the microphone, saying, From this point on, I'll be responsible for the explanation. It was a $5 billion deal, and I had to leave the stage with a bitter feeling, making sure not to spoil the atmosphere. Mike's explanation was exactly the same as the script I had prepared. I clenched my fist with frustration. Mike probably had this plan from the beginning. He wanted to give the impression to the higher-ups that I was incapable and that he was more competent than me. Although the presentation itself ended successfully, thanks to Mike, my standing in the company had reached its lowest point. The guy who not only arrived late, but also messed up the presentation materials is unbelievable. That's my current evaluation. The next day, the president came to my department and gave me a stern reprimand. What on earth were you thinking? When you showed up at the presentation venue at the last minute, you presented with the wrong materials. You're bringing disgrace to our company. What are you thinking? I'm really sorry. After sincerely apologizing, I explained that I had been late for the presentation due to helping a pregnant woman in the morning and that the presentation materials had turned out to be different from what I had prepared. However, it was at that moment that Mike intervened. Boss, what John is saying is completely nonsense. This guy is all talk, always trying to manipulate everyone like this. Even the success of the previous presentation, the department had attributed it to John, but it was me who did all the data analysis. As for this issue with the materials, when I asked him if he was sure, he said yes. Based on my experience, I had a feeling that the data might be wrong, so I had prepared different materials just in case. Fortunately, they came in handy. Everything Mike was saying was pure fabrication. However, in the current situation, I knew that no matter what I said, the president wouldn't believe me. I clenched my teeth and swallowed my frustration. Is that so? You're Mike, right? I heard you graduated from a prestigious university with outstanding grades. Well, it seems that your education wasn't in vain. Well done. If, by any chance, this deal hadn't gone well, our company would have suffered a significant blow. No, it's nothing. I just did what I had to do. I see that humble attitude is commendable, but I've heard that John is considered a promising talent by the department head. I'm disappointed, and personally, I hate liars the most. Someone who is laid for an important business deal and tells lies is not needed in this company. John, you are fired. Fired? What? I was taken aback by the sudden announcement of my dismissal. Then Sarah, who had been listening to our conversation behind me, tried to speak up to defend me. Boss, if I may. Sarah, it's okay. But, the president, who had been listening to our exchange, gave Sarah a stern look. Oh, so you're John's coworker. To question my decision like this. Did he teach you not to follow the company's rules? It seems that high school graduates like you haven't been properly educated. Boss, as you say, this mistake is entirely my responsibility. She didn't know the circumstances. I apologize. I see. If you understand, submit your resignation letter promptly and leave. Yes, got it. As the president left the room, Mike, who had been waiting behind me, spoke up. I guess people without education can't do anything right. Checking the materials before distribution is the basics of the basics. What the heck? Also, don't trust people blindly. And it's not a good idea to try to please everyone. It only leads to losses. Sarah, you have such a poor coworker. If she had joined my team from the beginning, I would have taken good care of her. No, I'd rather not receive any special treatment from someone who resorts to such dirty tricks. Is that so? You'll regret it later. I realized that this was Mike's true nature. I had always suspected that he looked down on me for being a high school graduate, but I never thought he would go to such lengths to undermine me. I would have done anything, whether it was data organization or analysis, if he had asked. Why did I have to be resented like this? The more I thought about it, the emptier I felt. The younger coworkers, including Sarah, were against my resignation, given what Mike had done in the president's decision. However, in our company, the president's orders were absolute. Unless there was a compelling reason, there was no way to overturn a resignation. I calmed everyone down and decided to use up the accumulated paid leave from the next day. I had been with the company for a long time, but once my paid leave was over, it would be time to say goodbye. That night, I stopped by the familiar small bar called Four Seasons. Tears welled up in my eyes as I was greeted by Emily with her usual gentle smile. She looked surprised to see me like that, but I think she sensed that there was a reason behind it. Here, today I'll treat you. Okay? Drink to your heart's content and forget about your troubles. She said that? Emily, I got fired from the company. Oh my wow. But, it must be for a good reason, right, John? Yeah, well. Do you remember that coworker, Mike, who came here with me the other day? Oh yes. I remember. He got me good. I told her about how I had encountered the pregnant woman in labor that morning, how I had taken her to the hospital, and how I had fallen into Mike's trap. I see. But John helped the pregnant woman and her child, right? Isn't that amazing? To take the right course of action as a human being. It's a dark future for a company that fires someone like that. On the contrary, maybe it's a good thing you left early. Do you think so? Yes, John. I'm sure you'll find a new job quickly. Emily, thank you, but I might be unemployed for a while, so I won't be able to come here. Oh, don't say that. If it's you, John, you're always welcome here. In fact, I'd even treat you for free. That's funny, Emily, that's a bit too much. But I appreciate your kindness. Thank you. It's okay. I'm sure good things will come your way. My instincts are surprisingly accurate. Emily's smile made me feel warm. Then, about 2 weeks later, my home intercom rang. I couldn't think of anyone who would visit my house other than a delivery person, so I went to the door. To my surprise, Emily was there. Emily, what brings you here? John, long time no see. Are you doing well? Actually, someone really wanted to meet you. So I got the address from Sarah and brought that person here. Huh. Someone who wants to meet me? Yes, this is Olivia Davis. She's the one you helped 2 weeks ago. Oh, the one from that time. Are you okay now? Yes, thanks to you. I was saved that day. My child was born healthy as well. It's all thanks to you. I'm really grateful. Saying that, Olivia held my hands. I see. I'm glad your baby was born safely. When I responded, her expression suddenly darkened. But I heard that you lost your job because you helped me. What a terrible company, questioning their president's judgment. Well, it's all in the past, Olivia. You don't need to worry about it. No, I can't let it go. The person who saved my life and my child's life is facing such an unfair situation. I can't just stand by and do nothing. Can you tell me more about it? In response to her strong request, I explained everything that had happened up until that point. Now that I thought about it, it had been a while since I had talked to so many people recently. In that case, John, I think I can help too. Really? I actually came across an interesting idea. So, if we're going to get back at them, I have a good plan in mind. What do you mean? After that, we discussed various things about the future. By the way, John, have you been eating properly lately? With that, Emily offered me a lunchbox filled with fried chicken and hamburgers that are often served at small bar. People need to eat well, or they won't have the energy for what lies ahead, you know? So, eat up and prepare yourself for the future. Emily, thank you. You're welcome. By the way, John, I heard that you gave my restaurant's business card to Olivia when she asked for your contact information at the hospital. Oh, that's why Emily came to my house with Olivia. Yes, that's right. You're surprisingly absent-minded, aren't you? Sorry. I laughed it off, but the truth was, I felt so embarrassed that my face turned red. The fact was, I was a fan of the Four Seasons and Emily, both in name and reality. I had been carrying the Four Seasons business card as a kind of talisman with me all the time. In my hurry to get to the presentation and worried about being late, I had accidentally handed the Four Seasons business card to Olivia when she asked for my contact information. I realized that the reason I couldn't find that business card after being fired from my job was that I had given it to Olivia by mistake. However, as a result, I gained strong allies in Olivia and Emily. Sometimes, things work out for the best. Oh, Olivia, do you still have that business card with you? Yes, look, I've been carrying it with me carefully. Could you exchange it with my business card? Why's that? When Emily asked, I stammered but gave an honest answer about my feelings. I really love your bar, Emily. No matter how tired I am, the moment I step into your place, I feel refreshed. So, your business card is like my mental stabilizer or charm. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. In response, Emily blushed with a smile. Then until John joins the new company and comes over here confidently, I'll deliver our meals for you. Huh. Oh my, John. You can't refuse an offer from a woman you know. Olivia gave me a lukewarm look and scolded me. Blushing, I thanked Emily. On my last day off, I went to the office. Then, the manager hurriedly called me over. Hey, John and Mike, and those who were involved in the presentation the other day, come to the president's office quickly. Huh. Mike seemed puzzled as to why he was called, but I somehow felt like I could see the future where this would all be resolved. Well, it might be nice to see you scolded by the president for the last time. Mike grinned defiantly, and in my mind, I stuck out my tongue at him. When we went to the president's office, there were a pale-faced president and the president of our business partner. John, about your resignation, I want you to forget it. The president told me first. Boss, what happened all of a sudden? Today is my last day at this company. No, it's about the 5 billion deal we made the other day. The president of the other party really wants you to be in charge. If you don't take charge, he says he'll cancel the deal. The president stammered with his excuses, and Mike quickly retorted, Boss, what are you saying? You said we don't need a liar like him in our company. What happened to leaving the responsibility for this deal to me? You, shut up. This is not the time for that. Then, the president's business partner, who had been listening to the conversation on the other side, spoke up. Why you called John a liar? Because, he's saying that because the other day, during the presentation, he lied about you helping a pregnant woman and being late for the presentation, right? Oh, John, was it a lie that the reason for your lateness was helping someone in labor? No, it's true. I was late to the presentation because I couldn't move due to the start of labor pains, so I took a taxi to the regular hospital. I see. So, what kind of woman did you help? Yes, she was a woman in her 20s named Olivia Davis. She said the baby was born safely, so she came to my house the other day to thank me. I see. My granddaughter was just born the other day, too. It's quite a coincidence. Besides, my daughter also had labor pains suddenly at the station and was taken to the hospital by a kind man. His name was John Smith, right? Huh. The business partner's president laughed joyfully as if he had successfully played a prank. Well, Davis, does this mean that John saved your daughter? Yes, that's right. The person who saved my precious daughter and grandson from being called a liar and losing his job can't be helped, so I can't stay silent. Then Mike said with a bitter face, still, even if that's the case, isn't it entirely personal to say that he should be in charge? He's a good-for-nothing who made a mistake with the presentation materials. Shouldn't we consider helping people and work abilities separately? Oh, really? Do you think he's a good-for-nothing? Yes, that's right. He's just a high school graduate and a good-for-nothing who can't do his job. When Mike yelled loudly, Sarah, who was also in the president's office, raised an objection. Boss, I have a report about the incorrect data distributed during the presentation. What is it, Sarah? What do you have? Yes, the person who created the incorrect data during the presentation was Mike. I confirmed it by checking the properties and logs of the materials used for printing, so there is no mistake. It is also confirmed that John was the one who created the correct materials that were distributed later. What? So you're saying that Mike was the one who lied from the beginning? Yes, that's right. With Sarah's testimony, Mike turned pale and Davis added salt to the wound. Furthermore, it seems that he paid the part-timers in our company to act as bystanders just to frame John. Boss, what are you talking about? Mike flustered, tried to deny it, and Davis said with amusement, I was also at the presentation place, so I felt something was strange. The young people who usually don't make a fuss about incorrect materials were making an unusually big fuss that day. I scolded them later for their lack of manners. At that time, I heard about John from my daughter. When she said that she heard about it, I thought something was wrong, so I asked them. Then they've easily admitted that they had received money from you, and were asked to make a scene to make it seem like John was at fault. Mike, you bastard. What the hell did you do? That means that John has been doing my work up until now. That's why your work has been slow lately. Still, that's not true. I'm more capable than this high school graduate. But everyone, they just keep praising John. We don't need someone like him at our company. I'm the one who thinks about the company from the bottom of my heart and devotes myself to it. It was when Mike shouted so loudly, that's a big fat lie. Suddenly, the door to the president's office opened, and from there, Olivia and, for some reason, Emily in a suit entered. What? Olivia and Emily? I was surprised, and Olivia, dressed as a full-fledged career woman, gave me a light wink, and the next moment, she glared at Mike. Nice to meet you. I am Olivia Davis, Vice President of Davis Company. I was the one who was helped by John here the other day. This time, I have come to expose Mike's fraudulent dealings. Mike is involved in fraud? Even the president seems surprised by this. In this business negotiation, our representative, Christopher, was approached by your Mike for padding the bill. It was a deal where the profits would be split if it went well, and he already brought a padded invoice. The amount is $10,000, with a plan of $5,000 per person. However, he was consulting with me about what to do at the last minute. So, him serving your company, that's a big lie, isn't it? Lies. It's a mistake or something. I don't know any guy named Christopher, the panicked Mike retorted, and this time, Emily, still in a suit, told him off. Oh dear, Mike and Christopher often come to our store, don't they? They were even here last night, weren't they? Look, the video of you two together is on this smartphone. She said that and showed a video of the two of them on her smartphone. So, all you have to do is do as I told you, and you'll get $10,000 in one go. That's a big profit, isn't it? The video showed Mike and Christopher with their arms around each other in a hushed conversation. This video was so incriminating that no further evidence could be found. I shot this video because they were talking about something so dangerous. Mike comes to our store and bothers the other customers with his overbearing attitude, and even if I tell him I don't like it, he keeps pestering me. I thought it would be a good idea to have this on hand in case trouble ever arose. The eyes of Emily, who exposed this, were not smiling at all. You bastard. You guys are making fun of me, aren't you? Is this high school graduate really that great? I'm an elite graduate from a famous university. Why? Shut up. What are you saying? It's all your fault. You're the one who's fired. You're fired. The president, his face turning red with anger, shouted at Mike. Upon hearing the commotion, a security guard arrived and restrained the loudly shouting Mike. He was then ordered to suspend himself from work at home. So, John, what do you want to do? Do you still want to work for this company? When asked by President Davis, I shook my head decisively. No, I don't intend to return to this company. Why not, John? Please come back. No, boss. At first, I thought this was a wonderful company that would give even a high school graduate like me a chance. However, with this incident, I've realized that it's not like that. I want to work in a place where I can make better use of my abilities. That's right, isn't it? John has that value. You should excel in a new environment. And Dad, with my authority as vice president, I want to hire John at our company. Is that okay? Honestly, this was a godsend. I had heard about the company from her the other day and thought it sounded like an interesting company. Oh, I was going to hire him before you told me. Thank you, Dad. So that's why. Please continue to take care of me, John. Yes, thank you very much. And so I ended up working for Davis Company, which has branches all over the world. I am now in charge of the import department and import various items from overseas. I have a family relationship with Olivia, and her son Michael, who was born at that time, is already good friends with me. Since then, Mike has been fired and the 5 billion yen deal has been canceled. As a replacement, the cosmetics that were supposed to be purchased from the previous company are now imported by me from overseas at a low cost. For Davis Company, it has not been a loss, but a profit of 10 billions, and Vice President Davis is in a very good mood. As for me, I have also become acquainted with Emily in places other than her bar. But to be honest, she is on my case. Today, too, have 4 seasons. I enjoy delicious dishes she has prepared while savoring fine wine. It's my blissful time. And recently, there is another woman who has become a regular customer at this store. That is the woman who is now guzzling champagne in front of me. Sarah, a former coworker. Oh, I finally transferred to Davis Company and was thinking of getting closer to John, but I was a step too late. I'm so frustrated. Yes, she followed me to Davis Company. From a woman's perspective, she has a reputation for procurement, and now she has become a respectable buyer. But it makes sense that I can't possibly compete with you, Emily. I'll work hard to become a wonderful woman like you and find an even more wonderful man than John someday. Oh, Sarah, I think you're wonderful just the way you are. Thank you very much. Well then, another glass of the recommended champagne. Hey, you drank too much already. As I was chiding Sarah for saying so, Emily laughed and held out a small plate of fried chicken in front of me. While eating it, I praised the food once again. Your cooking, Emily. It's really all my favorite, or rather, it's nostalgic. Is that so? I'm glad you like it. But isn't it natural for you to like my cooking, John? Oh, why? Hey, after all this time together, you still can't remember, Johnny? Huh, that nickname. Are you M? That's right. I'm M, or rather, Emily Parker. I see. You become so beautiful that I didn't recognize you at all. She used to come to my mother's children's cafeteria every night when I was a child. So, how is my little brother, Gene, doing now? Oh, come on, Johnny. You meet him often, don't you? He's our chef, Gene. Huh, that Gene with the stern buzz cut. That's right. Johnny must be surprised, right? The scrawny guy has turned into a muscular gorilla. There's no trace of his old self. But it's all thanks to your mom that we've come this far. Our mom's cooking is just like your mom's, Johnny. We're really grateful for that. Is that so? No wonder your meals, Em, always have that nostalgic taste. For us, rice is linked to happiness. When we were hungry, we felt really sad and didn't feel like doing anything. But when we ate a full meal at the children's cafeteria, we became happy and slept well at night. Jean said the same thing. So, Johnny's mom was the one who gave us happiness. After my mother passed away and I was taken in by my grandparents, I could finally eat properly, but I always remembered the meals here. I wanted to become someone who could make such a kind and delicious meal someday. So I worked hard. Yeah, now you can make that taste perfectly, right? M's cooking is really delicious. I'm glad. Someday, I want to save up money and start a children's cafeteria too. That's right. Your dream will definitely come true. In the past, it was a children's cafeteria that relied on donations. But now even major convenience store chains have entered the children's cafeteria scene. Leftover lunchboxes and snacks that were supposed to be disposed of. There are many children who consider themselves happy just by having those fill their stomachs. However, a warm meal prepared with care can also warm a person's heart. She wants to create such a warm children's cafeteria. I know how challenging it can be, so I want to help her in any way I can. For that, I hope to find a way to source affordable ingredients from overseas someday. It's a mysterious bond created